Hello, 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 hello. I know on Wednesday I said I was going to do a Aranciata. Asterisk. Well, I'm invoking the asterisk. We're not doing Aranciata because I can't handle more oily fried food. And it shouldn't come out oily, but it might come out oily, and it's definitely fried. TKL. Hi. Um, just in time for the intro. So yeah, we're not doing Aranciata. I'm going to put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later. As an alternative, I rummaged around in the freezer and I found some things that needed to be quickly thawed. One of those things that needed to be quickly thawed was this, which is pre-made pizza dough. Now, I tried quickly thawing it just by letting it sit out, and it was not thawing properly. So I put it in it's in a plastic bag, so I put it in the sink with some warm water below where the bag part is. Evidently, the bag it's in is not watertight. Because there's water in the bag now. So that's our mess and our rescue. We're going to have to rescue this because I won't be able to thaw another one out. If it's a complete loss, I'm not sure what we're going to do. So step one, we're going to get into this bag and see what we're working with. I'm going to cut it over the sink and pour off any loose water. I guess I assumed a plastic bag would be naturally not water permeable. But I guess what do I know? So it's wet. Ooh. It's squishy. She's a squishy. Let's get out a bowl. So the plan up until this was to do a Coulibiac, but using pizza dough because I don't have any other kind of dough. I might just have to add flour to it to pull it back to the direction. It's very smooth. I think we're dissolving the starch away a little bit, so it's going to be like an extra chewy dough. It's not the worst. It's not as bad as I thought it was when I initially picked it up and there was just like a pool of water inside the bag. But it's got that milky starch water from, if you'll remember, from when we made our own seitan. That's exactly what happened there. The starches are dissolving into the water, and we lost some of them. So I wonder if I just... I didn't want to start with the dough. I want the dough to just be ready to go because I've got another thing that I need to start with. But I need to start here because I need to see if the dough is going to work. I should be boiling my barley first, actually. I'm going to put a pot of water on to boil so that at least it's coming up while I'm fussing around with the dough here. There's more dough than I need, so I'm hoping maybe I can just salvage it. So start boiling up some stuff. Take this back to the sink and it's I don't know. We're gonna flour the top. We're gonna flour the work surface, and we're gonna get it out of there. I'm just gonna hope that I can add enough flour to make the dough not a wet, sticky mess without drying it out too much. Initially, it seems to be working, actually, pretty well. It wasn't in there very long. Odds are that the wetness is just skin deep. Oh, but as soon as you get, okay, maybe not. It's much softer than this type of pizza dough usually is. Oh, the gator. Oh yeah. I never checked in last time. I didn't even post pictures in my Discord. I was so distracted. The gator was a little bit dried out. I think trying to get it up to the target temp, we dried it out a little bit. The flavor was good. My friends were split on it, and it definitely needed the sauce, that quick aioli I made. Overall, it worked out. I've still got some left over, actually. Of all those skewers, we have 4 of them remaining. There was quite a bit of food there, so I'm not surprised that there was some left over. The crab cakes were much more popular, for sure. Yeah, I should. I'll probably. I don't want to post the pictures with the pictures of this, so I'll probably post it over the weekend. Did you get the Discord link last time? I think I've managed to dry out the surface of this. It's really soft. You could make a pizza out of this with how soft it is. Soft and stretchy. But I don't want to make a pizza right away, so revisit it. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to move on and just trust that it's going to be okay while we move on. Yeah, I kind of... Wednesday was strange. First of all, I normally don't stream on Wednesday. Second of all, I had to run out the door real fast, so I kind of shorted all of the end of stream stuff I normally do. The photos, the tasting, all that. Okay, well, scrape up our worktop here. Into the trash. Okay, well, snagging my cord. With the dough reasonable, where did I put let's see, we need the barley. We're doing some barley. Barley, mushroom, mystery fish. I don't remember what kind of fish this is. It was not in a labeled container. It was in a loose bag, frozen. I suspect it's haddock, but I don't know for sure. It's either haddock or cod. We're gonna make is a Coulibiac, which means we need some ingredients besides the fish to stuff it with. And then I'm gonna make a sauce on the side. And then I'm going to have some extra dough that we could potentially play with while the thing is cooking. But I'm not sure. I don't want to cook a ton of extra food. So I might just save our extra dough. We are going to want to mince up this entire package of mushrooms. And to that end, I am going to get us our fancy machine here. I'm going to move the cutting board needed immediately. Get out a we don't need the really super non-stick. We can use the old one. Mushroom. Before we do that, we're going to mince up our shallot. Okay. Shallot. Okay. Oh. So how has your... Oh. Ah. Ho. Ho. You can't quite see it. It is a hairline cut that didn't quite go through the skin. Whoa. That is... I think that's the first time I've properly cut myself on the show. Oh, yep, there it goes. Little tiny red line. We just barely nicked it. Okay, well, I guess there you go. Be careful. It was bound to happen eventually. I've been at this for so long, I'm surprised I haven't cut myself before. The knife just slipped, which is strange because this is one of my sharper knives. Probably means I need to give it a touch-up. I can hear our water boiling back there, so I'm going to throw in half a cup of barley because I decided we need some kind of a grain which has to be cooked because it's not going to be cooked inside the thing, but it needs to be there so that the interior isn't just soup from other ingredients, from wet ingredients. And I decided, because I hardly ever use barley, and I've got this container of barley, that we're going to go with barley today. And to cook barley, you boil it. You can boil it directly into a soup or something. There's no reason to boil it on the side. It's excellent to be added to a soup. Gives it a nice thickness from the starches that it naturally gives off into the water. Speaking of which, it is foaming up immediately. Let's get that temperature down a scooch. I'm going to use half the shallot now and half the shallot later. So we're going to save those other two pieces there and return to them in a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's already stopped. Just got to the edge of a little red line. And we're going to use half of this butter as well. Okay, let that melt. Get at these mushrooms. And I think I've changed my mind about getting out the machine to mince these up. Just because I don't want to wash it. Because I don't feel like washing it. But it would be the easiest way to do this. I am doing it. I'm doing it. Getting out the machine, which is my food processor. Close up the flour tower. Slide everybody out of the way. I did this once ages back, actually before I even had the food processor as an option, where I made a mushroom bolognese and hand minced 2 pounds of mushrooms and gave myself a blister. This ain't no 2 pounds of mushrooms, but I learned that maybe just use the machine. Don't we have the machine for a reason. So we're just going to blitz up a mushroom. On the shredder side, the plate is a lot easier to wash than the tornado-shaped blade as well, so it shouldn't be too difficult. On, chop. Nope, apparently chop is a predefined thing. I just want it on low. Ninja does make awesome stuff. Sponsor me, Ninja. I have 2. Our Magic Pot is also a Ninja brand. So I have 2 fancy Ninja devices, and they are... Nope, that piece did not go through the blade. Close enough. Okay, our butter is melted. So we're just going to manually mince up this last little piece that got stuck on top of the plate. Oh, okay. A couple of those pieces actually went through a little bit big. We're going to want to scrape that out. Okay, popping us over to this side. Let's start by getting everything I can off of the disc. Okay. I forget the name of the thing we're making here. This is called a something with mushrooms. It has a name. It has a specific French name. And since we're not making a French recipe, I guess I don't need to know the French name. It's cooked mushroom mince. It's a cooked mushroom mince. It's got some kind of French name. It's what you put inside of a Wellington. One of the layers, and we are recreating that here because we are making what is essentially a fish Wellington. That is what a Coulibiac is. Basically. So we want all this stuff in here now to cook down until it is almost a few pieces. I will just tolerate them. We want to cook this down until it is not like completely cooked away, but we got to get it mostly gonzo. So it needs some salt for our mushrooms and onions to express the liquid, and then we need to cook away that liquid. We don't want we don't want the mushrooms to give up their juices inside of our little dough parcel, because then there'll just be a soup inside of our dough parcel. And we already have a pretty wet ingredient in the fish, which I've had sitting out and air drying for an hour-ish. Thawing as well, but hopefully getting some of that surface moisture, getting rid of some of that surface moisture so that we at least aren't putting that in as just a soup. Okay. We already have a good amount of liquid coming into our pan here. So, get rid of my sheen. Sizan, welcome to Lurk. And thank you for the moisten. Although we're de-moistening. Moist. But hello and goodbye into the land of lurking. So yeah, that needs to just cook away until it is starting to dry out. And our barley, which has not been there long enough, but I will taste test it anyways. Well, better than I thought, but definitely not been there long enough. Our barley needs to be tender chewy. And swell up a bit. Make sure I don't have any stickage in that pan. Now I should have something green to put inside of my Coulibiac here, just so that when we cut into it, we have a little bit more of a visual contrast. Since I'm not using salmon, we're not going to have that pink, that bright pink middle. I don't have any spinach. The leafy greens I have are very pale, and if I cook them out, they'll be even paler. We won't have that green to them. Do I still have any red cabbage? Or is that all gone? No, I think that's all used up. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get any nice color. We're just going to have kind of a white interior. White and brown. Well, that's not the end of the world, but it's going to make the visual appeal of the finished dish a little bit less appealing. Let's see. The barley, the mushroom, the dough. Second half of the shallot is going to be for our sauce. Because the flavors I'm using, I'm drawing inspiration from like an English fish pie for flavors. So I'm going to make a sauce that is sort of a cream sauce, as you would have a creamy broth for your fish soup. One kind of fish. I know there's a million kinds of fish soup. One kind of fish soup that I have in my head. Otherwise, it's kind of like a baked pie. One has a little green layer on. There's so many variations of this. One of those things where there's a ton of variations. A lot of people put eggs, like whole boiled eggs in them, which I'm not doing because I don't want to boil some eggs right now, but ooh, that one's a roulade. We could have done a roulade. We could still do a roulade. Well, doing a roulade would be difficult now. Oh, 10 seconds to my ad timer. That's happening. Heads up, it's coming. No cheese. It's going to be grains and mushrooms. It needs a vegetable. It needs a vegetable, and we still have the core of this fancy cabbage. So I guess I'm going to use the core of this fancy cabbage as my vegetable component here. Are you farther away than you used to be? I feel like you're a little bit farther away than you used to be. Should be a shame to let this guy go to waste. So we're just gonna keep digging leaves out. These leaves obviously wouldn't have worked for our choux farci, but they should be fine. Now I gotta also make sure to gauge everything to the size of our fish, which is only this big. So I don't want to go too nuts with a lot of other ingredients. So probably just 3 leaves is honestly likely more than I need, but we'll cook it down a little bit before I throw it in. Oh, I'm doing this the foolish way as well. So rolling up, if you need to slice leaves, rolling them up gives them more structure, which lets you get a better, cleaner slice as though they were just one big thing. Ooh. Some slightly aged parsley. Still probably can salvage some of that. My mushrooms are looking a little dry, which is what I was looking for, but let's give them a stir around to be sure. We would like them to pick up all of the butter and not give off any more of their own liquid, but still be like tender. I don't want to cook them all the way into leather. And once again, I forget what this is called. This has a name. This thing right here is called it's called something. Even other recipes don't want to call it by its name. Ooh, prosciutto. That's right. There's a prosciutto layer in there. I always forget about that one. We could. Yeah. Calling a duxelle. That is exactly it. Thank you. Liz LaFay, hi. Welcome, welcome. That is exactly what it was called. That is a duxelle. We pop over here, slide to the left, retrieve my piece of fish. Don't look at that just yet. There's our piece of fish. Pretty small. I forgot that a beef Wellington has prosciutto in it. I don't have any prosciutto, but I do have some bacon, and I just sized it out. And one of these are thick pieces of bacon, but one of these is almost exactly the size of our piece of fish. So I think I'm going to add a piece of bacon on the inside of this thing as well. Jay, hi. Yes, we are making a duxelle. There's our duxelle. It is very crude because I don't need it to be real fancy. It also, I think, is just about ready. I'm not seeing any more pooling moisture, and we're just getting a thin sheen of butter, so there's no loose butter in the pan either. So that's probably done. Give it a little taster. Sauteed mushrooms are so nice. You could just eat that. Honestly, you could just put that on noodles and eat it and be real happy. But let's get it out of there so it doesn't burn. We don't need the pan immediately right away. So I'm going to move the pan to the back burner. But we're going to reuse this pan, so I'm also not going to wash it. We need our duxelle here to... Also, I said hi to Jay, and then I said yes about the duxelle, but I missed the most important part. Jay, you subscribed! Thank you for resubscribing! It's so exciting. I just kind of glossed over it because I was answering a question. Your question, in fact. Okay, so our duxelle needs to cool off a little bit so that I can handle it. Well, we're using it not even as a dish, we're using it as a component of a dish. This thing, by the way, is a thawing plate. It's just a chunk of aluminum coated with nonstick. And all it does is make... All it does is give something more surface area to work with for thawing, so things will thaw out more quickly. Should probably have done that with our dough instead of giving it a bath. Oh, you know, I was going to cook down this cabbage a little bit. Excuse me. Hope that wasn't too loud. Let's hit that cabbage a little bit. I want to make sure that cabbage is at least tenderized before I throw it in our thing. Because you're supposed to put in, I think it's like fully cooked spinach is a common filler in the Coulibiac. I've got the name pulled up there, so that when I pause for a second whenever I say it and I look at it, because I've got the name there, so that I can remember. Let's swing over. Anyways, hi Jay. Welcome, welcome. Let's swing back over to our barley. See what we're working with. Chewy, plump. Probably good. Probably good. As long as I've been in there. Been there plenty long enough. Probably not gonna get any more cooked, and the foam has reached the top of the pot, even though I haven't turned it down. So it's probably time to just call it done. We need to drain it off. I am not putting the hard egg in this one. I'm not following most of the rules for this one. It's turned into a Coulibiac because I was going to call it a Fish Wellington. And then while I was doing some research, the internet told me that is pretty much what a Coulibiac is. Also, I was aware of I didn't know the name of it, the Russian salmon pastry, which is what the Coulibiac is. So I kind of came at it from both sides, and then they met in the middle. And was like, I guess we're making that, because I was making that. I just opened the, so it's going to drain. I'm going to drain my barley. So we're using barley instead of rice, because I feel like it. For all the same reasons I cooked the moisture out of our mushrooms, and I'm cooking down our cabbage, I am going to let that dry out a little bit, because we don't want a soup inside of our pastry. Also, the pastry that we're using, that was the mess we started with. So I unthawed one of these pre-made pizza doughs to see what we were working with, and I did it just today. So B! Oh my goodness! Let me shout out B. Shout out. How do you spell your actual name? Because it's not just B. B! Everybody go follow B immediately. Do it right now. Don't wait. Stop watching me and go follow B. Or click the little thing at the top of chat. Hi B. Welcome, welcome. So when I decided I wasn't making a ranciata today, I got one of those dough balls out of the freezer. The issue was it wasn't thawing fast enough, so I put it in a water bath to get it to, thaw. And I figured it's in a plastic bag, a sealed plastic bag. It should be fine, right? Well, I guess those plastic bags that the dough balls come in are not watertight, because it filled up with water. So the very first thing I did when we started, which is what the mess in my title there is about, the very first thing was I cracked the bag open to see what we were working with. I got the dough out and I floured it up to soak up the extra water, and I think it has worked. It's a little bit sticky still. So we're gonna have to get that back out of there and play with that. So it we remains to be seen if we're even going to have a workable dough. It's also not the kind of dough you're supposed to use for this. It's not a pie dough. It's a pizza dough, so we're kind of making a calzone as well. You know, we're just it's just oof oof. Anyways, hi B, how's it going? And then I realized that I have bacon, so we're gonna throw some bacon in, but this bacon is mad thick, so I'm not even sure if it's going to cook through. Not that cured bacon is safe to eat as is. It's just not exactly pleasant to eat because it's, you know, gross texture. This is raw fish, so we have to at least cook it to the point where this thing is cooked. Book Woman, hi. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I think I'm getting all my parts. The other half of our shallot is being reserved, along with the remainder of our butter. So yeah, we're making a Coulibiac calzone Wellington with mystery fish. I don't know what fish that is. It's a mystery fish. It was in a plastic bag in my freezer. I'm sure it came in a multi-pack thing, and I used the other pieces, and I don't remember what it was. It's a white fish. It's probably haddock or cod, because I don't like pollock, so I don't buy it. I don't think it's tilapia because it's a pretty like chunky piece. Tilapia tends to be very flat, and this is a pretty like large, pretty hefty log. So I don't think it's tilapia. It's also quite firm, which tilapia tends to be much more delicate, which has me thinking cod. But again, haddock is not super dissimilar. It could also be some oddball thing. Because you know what I do. I buy random oddball stuff. So I don't think it's tilapia, just because of the shape of the thing. I also don't think it's. Oh no, mahi mahi tends to not be that sort of uniform white. It tends to be like sort of a pinkish hue to it. Anyways, it's mystery fish. It's some kind of white fish. It's quite firm. So it should be good as a core of our thing. Selena's also here. Hi. Welcome, welcome. And Selena is first. Selena is the first one to arrive. All of you have missed the boat. Selena is the first one here overall. I think that's all of our ingredients. The piece of fish is going in raw, so I don't have to cook that. The bacon, I almost want to split lengthwise because it's very thick, but it would be difficult to cut that way. I just happen to have some of this on hand, which is why I thought of it. Selena's almost always first. You guys are late to the party. I would need a very sharp knife to do that because bacon is quite sturdy. I wish I had a thin piece of bacon because then I would just do like a wrap. But I don't buy new bacon when I have old bacon, and the old bacon that I have on hand is this stuff that's a half an inch thick. Maybe I should par cook it just to give it a head start. We're cooking this thing until the fish part is done, regardless. I just don't want weirdly chewy bacon to be in there at the same time. It doesn't sound tasty to me. I have an idea. have a different idea than par cooking. If I slice it very thinly this way, I can like scale very thin pieces along the top. It's never going to be crispy because it's inside the thing. I just want it to be cooked through. But if I take like little shavings like that, and then I can kind of layer them along the thing, because then they will be able to cook, render inside the capsule without having this big mass to work with. And then I guess I have some extra bacon because I'm not going to use it all if I do it this way. I'm worried if I par cook it, it will start to stiffen up and I won't be able to get a good like seal. It'll be this hard layer on the top. Because these are about as thin as a normal piece of bacon, which if I had just a normal piece of bacon, I would just slap it in there like this. And then I could probably use the remaining bacon in the sauce instead of the butter even. Yeah, my local grocery store, and it is local grocery store brand. They call them bacon steaks, and I think it's just they get some extra bacon in, and instead of shaving it down, they cut some of them into these big half-inch slabs. So yeah, that's about half of that thing remaining. I can use that to make a sauce, to make our sauce, which means I won't even need this piece of butter. I can just use that as the starter. Okay. You know, it just occurred to me I was not preheating my oven. Make sure there's nothing in there. Okay. Thin bacon will definitely cook. Our duxelle is done. Our cabbage is wilted. Our barley is hot and wet. I want it to be warm and damp. And it has to go on the bottom, but I still need to take another peek at my dough, so it has plenty of time. We have the time. Yes, prosciutto is what an actual Wellington would use. And it's in there, it's in a beef Wellington because you're supposed to use a beef tenderloin, which is so lean that you need to have some added fat, otherwise it's not super good. White fish like this also tends to be very lean, so I'm just going to move that somewhere. Leave it there, move the whole thing. So the bacon is probably a good idea, just to get in there to give a little bit of fat to the fish. Okay, let's return to this thing. I much prefer cod to haddock. I do like me a white fish. Okay, it's better. Definitely soaked up some of that moisture. We have more than we need here. But we definitely soaked up some of that excess moisture. Let's use that part. I don't know that I've ever had sole. I'm sure I've had halibut, although I think I don't recall it. Okay. I love salmon. Salmon is my favorite of the like commonly eaten fish. It's actually a bit odd that I'm not using salmon for this recipe, given how much I like salmon. Yeah, walleye too, yeah. And perch, lake perch. That might be very local to me, or not like state-wise local. Lake perch in the Wisconsin lakes is a mighty fine fish. Definitely got some bubbles in here. I don't know if you can quite hear it. I'm squeezing them out the end, and we're getting little crackles as they bubbles hit the edge and get squozed. This actually came out in a very nice rectangle, which I'm surprised because it started out as such a weird like blob. It's also much less sticky than I was expecting after our initial fiasco, since I only very lightly floured our surface here. And I need to be mindful of our shaping. Oop! Oh! It's there. There we go. It stuck right to my. It stuck right to my pin, just as I was saying how it wasn't sticky. Okay. Yeah, it's like a slice of bread. Okay. I'm gonna pull the sides a bit. It's a stretchy dough, like a pizza dough, because it's a pizza dough. So it's gonna want to contract back to the middle. But we ended up with a really neat little rectangle. Okay, I have to be mindful of, because the seam needs to be on the bottom, but the fish needs to be on the top when it is in there. So I will start with a bed of cabbage. And by the fish, by on top, I mean the fish needs to be above the barley, and the bacon wants to be on top of the fish. But the cabbage can go over the top of either of them in a thin layer. It'll be fine. So let's see. There's a whole conversation happening. B's got some smoked salmon in the fridge. Jay's almost never had salmon. Nova Scotia. Something about something. I have no formal kitchen training. I just have home cook experiencing. Okay, that guy. So you're supposed to like roll a Wellington, right? I've already screwed that up. My dad does a lot of cooking and very adventurous cooking, so that's definitely where I picked it up from. Beyond that, I've had no formal training, which is why I often make horrific mistakes. Let's see, I'm gonna need to put this on a tray. That will fit it. That will fit it. With some parchment. Sauce making is very important. The modern home cook, I think, does not appreciate sauce making because we get all these pre-made sauces. You get just all these pre-packaged sauces that we just grab and throw on stuff. But there's a reason that the saucier is its own position in a formal kitchen and is second to head chef. It's chef de cuisine saucier because sauces are difficult and important. So definitely learn sauces. You will level things up like you wouldn't believe if you can make your own good sauces. Okay, I'm going to attempt to layer some barley on the top. Oh yeah, fond, which you don't get on a nonstick. Nonstick pans are so popular now, but they don't develop a fond. That only happens on a sticky pan. Sticky pan. Respect for the process, that part of the process, developing that flavor. You lose it. You don't even have an opportunity to learn it with a nonstick pan. I use nonstick. I am not an opponent of nonstick, but it should be used. Oh, we have an ad. We have an ad. I am not an opponent of nonstick. I think it has its place, but it should be used judiciously, not for everything. Okay, we're doing this thing. I almost want to cut the corners out of this so that we don't have it quite so thick. Where did I put those scissors? There. Is this a bad idea? Maybe. Maybe. You guys are back. used a scissors on my dough while you were gone. Well, I don't think anyone has done exactly what I'm doing, because this is stupid nonsense. But if I'm very careful, and I should have floured, we're going to flour, well, because this is not the kind of dough you're supposed to use for something like this. You're supposed to use a puff pastry. We're going to flour this side so that when I flip it just now, it doesn't re-stick, because it feels like it's going to stick on the bottom, and I'm afraid we're going to tear it. And if it tears, we're in trouble. Don't tear, don't tear, don't tear. Stop sticking, stop sticking, stop sticking. Ha-ha! Our little baby is here. It has these weird flappy bits, which I am going to gingerly remove. Because remember, we folded it like that first. So we did a burrito fold, essentially. Honestly, that went better than I was expecting. Kapla. There we go. That's the thing. Wee Former, once again, in here with the 100 bits. I don't have a... Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. No, I don't have anything. Shout out WeFormer. Hi, WeFormer. Welcome, welcome. What are we making? We are making some kind of a hybrid between a Wellington, a calzone, and a Coulibiac. And also, I put barley and some kind of mystery fish in it, neither of which are in any of those things I just named. We do need to give this the old pastry slit on the top so that it does not explode. So it's a layered stuffed pastry, but I used pizza dough and also mystery fish, because there was a mystery fish in my freezer. It was in a bag that had no label on it, and I forgot what it was. We're going to give the top an egg wash. Or should I give it an oil wash? We're going to have an egg wash with one big egg. We're going to give the top an oil wash. It's a mystery fish. We're gonna not find out because there's very little way to tell. It's probably haddock, but there are definitely some other things it could be. So I'm putting some olive oil on the outside here. We're gonna rub it in. I definitely put too much on. because there's a little pool on the bottom. That's not great. Should have brushed it on with a brush. I wouldn't have had that extra. We're going to clean up some of the extra with a paper towel. It's because I don't want it to sit in a little lake of oil while it is cooking, because then the bottom will definitely be soggy. I suspect we're going to have a soggy bottom either way, but at least we can not start off with a soggy bottom. Okay, this guy now goes in the oven for an unknown amount of time. I should say, usually I have reference recipes up. I got nothing today. We are working blind. I've been kind of puzzling out the idea for the past couple of hours. But beyond that, we are flying by the seat of our pants. And the opening act was a disaster with the dough, so until golden brown. More specifically, until a probe into the fish registers doneness for the fish, which I don't even know the temperature. I am fly by pants, flying the pants airline right now. My microphone is doing that thing where the battery seems wonky again. It's already gone back to it after having apparently corrected. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. If I suddenly cut out the sound, shout at me and I'll do something. Yes, a meat thermometer is very important. I like... It's over here. I like this one specifically because you can do it hinged and like get in instead of always having to go straight. I also have a straight one. And I also have this kind. And this kind, which we probably should have used. This one. Will the fish cook faster than the dough? I seriously doubt it. The fish is a. I know the sound is fine now. It's just that my thing is telling me the battery is low, even though I just charged it again. So it might cut us out. So they all do slightly different things. This one with the long cord is meant to be put into a thing, and then the wire is itself oven safe, so that you can watch the temperature of what you're cooking directly, which we probably could have used here, but I didn't. This one has the clip. It's meant to be put on the side of a pot, so you can watch the temperature. I use it mostly for deep frying, but you can also use it for candy making. Its temperature range is quite high for doing something like meats. And then the two digital guys, these are basically the same, except this one is hinged, and this one has a longer, as you can see, a much longer probe. You can really get in the heart of stuff, and you can really get in there if you need to give it a jam. So they're all slightly different. I often use this one just because I can hinge it and probe with the hinge. This one I got at a thrift store. Brand new, literally still in the original packaging. Not sure what happened there. Okay, while our thing is bacon, let's work on some bacon. we're going to construct a sauce. I should have not switched the camera right away because I'm going to dice up the other half of our bacon. So we have an English fish pie inspired, no, fish pie inspired sauce. And I have immediately decided that that is not enough fat on that bacon, so we are also putting in the butter. Get in there, butter. Bacon and butter, a winning combination. Very, very healthful. You can reuse this spatula rather than get a fresh one dirty, because all it has on it is mushrooms and butter. I don't have something to do with the extra barley. Yeah, we have a little bit extra barley, a little bit extra bacon. Or not extra bacon, but extra cabbage. Both of which I don't think we're going to end up using. I'll just package them up. We also have some extra Duxelle. Wash my greasy, greasy hands. So yeah, my mention about the sound was that if I cut out, make noise in the chat at me, because I will have to probably temporarily transfer to the other mic, the onboard mic, and give this guy a quick recharge for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna the barley and the cabbage and the Duxelle are not going to waste. Barley is such a nice texture. It's got a fun little chew to it that other grains don't really have. It's almost bouncy. Bacon and butter. We are going to mince up our remaining shallot. Although I want to make sure the bacon gets a head start before I throw the shallot in there, because the shallot will add water to the pan, which will reduce the temperature, which will slow down the bacon. I want to make sure the bacon at least is mostly rendered before I put other things in there. Since once I start adding other things, I'm not going to be bringing the pan back to fully dry, and thus we won't be able to raise the temperature to get that bacon rendering hard. Well, a few of these pieces don't want to let go of each other. Okay. Our bacon butter, that one warm? No, I don't think so. Turn it up a little bit, get it going. I will take this opportunity, because that's not quite hot enough to work with yet, to do a spot of cleanup. Specifically, let's get this barley in a container so I can free up some stovetop space. You guys watch the bacon butter. Let me know if it does anything interesting. Isosceles. Oh my god, they're coming out of the woodwork today. Let's throw the cabbage in with the barley, and let's throw the duxelle in with the barley, and I make a pancake out of it in the morning, I guess. Which sounds pretty good just as is, because the duxelle was delicious. Yeah, honestly, you say breakfast, take that, heat it up, toss an egg on top. That's a meal. That's a meal right there. You can smell it. I can smell it. It smells like bacon. It also smells like butter. It definitely smells like both bacon and butter. And it's going to smell even better once I get the shallots in there and we have bacon and onion frying in butter. Oh my god. Oh, you know what else I'm smelling? You know what else I'm smelling? Our thing, which is nowhere near browned on the outside. Oop. Spilling my delicious stuff. Juices. Okay, our bacon chunks are looking pretty rendery. They're getting a little bit shriveled up. So I'm content to throw our shallot in. I'm going to clean this drip up real quick before it dries. Throw in our shallot. Get this oh yeah. Oh yeah. I kind of want some garlic and some thyme. I should add fresh garlic, not powder, to ensure this thing retains its integrity. Powdered garlic is dry, so it will absorb some of our oil from the pan, and I don't want it to do that. I have to do this right quick. I am going to sin against the garlic a bit, and we are not going to give it its proper resting time because I was neglectful. But we are going to crush it. Okay, don't do this. Oh, that didn't fall out, so that's gives us an opportunity. You never really want to do what I'm doing, where you crush garlic directly into heat. You want to give it at least a minute sitting around. It doesn't take very long, but you need a little bit of time to let it develop its flavor. But since I was not paying attention, I didn't do that. So let's get that. So speaking of nonstick pans, this is a nonstick pan we're using here, but it is an old one. The nonstick isn't super great anymore. Eggs stick to this thing like crazy. You can see there's little bits sort of sticking around. I haven't thrown it away because for things that it's not incredibly important that it be super nonstick like eggs, it still gets by. Now the garlic is sticking because garlic is very sticky. But I got off topic. I was talking about nonstick briefly. I'm not an overall opponent of nonstick. I'm not an overall opponent of nonstick, but it should be used judiciously because you want your nonstick pans to be in service as long as possible because the manufacture of nonstick is a big source of those PFAS that we keep hearing about on the news. So you really, ideally, want to keep your nonstick pans in service hopefully for a lifetime. They don't last that long. They simply can't. But as long as you possibly can, because you want to put off getting a new one as long as you possibly can, because that's where the problem arises. That was some white wine. I forget. Pinot Grigio. Which we are going to cook away, but it deglazed our pan, picked up our garlic bits that were sticking to the bottom, and formed a saucy sauce. And we still have the flour tower out because we need some flour, because we're going to now transform our bacon butter drippings into a roux so that I can make a sauce out of this. And peek at my thing. Still looking very pallid in there. I wonder if I shouldn't prepare an egg wash to put on toward the end, just to give us the proper golden color, because I don't think it's going to do that as is. It never does it with just an oil wash. I thought maybe it would be steamy enough in there to do it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. Especially if I keep peeking. So I might prepare an egg wash and just throw an egg wash on late. If you throw an egg wash on too early, you can burn your egg wash. And it makes it really hard to gauge when things are done because your browning is now controlled by the egg instead of by the pastry. But also, it's a pizza dough, so maybe we just blast it with some heat at the end? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. Not really. Okay, heat down. As you can see, my roux is sticking quite badly. Honestly, probably should have done this just in a stainless. I already had this pan dirty, so I just kept using it, but I don't think it's the top choice here. But milk. Milk. I can feel that I'm running over, stuck on slightly overcooked roux at the bottom there. So we're getting out the scraper and we're dislodging it. Gently so as to not splash, but firmly because I don't want this stuff to stick. So you cannot see what I am doing because it is at the bottom of this milk. But that thing suddenly started sizzling like mad, which suggests we sprung a leak, or possibly boiled over out of one of the vent holes. Okay, it all feels nice and smooth at the bottom now. Keep that handy though, in case I need to do more scraping. We have to cook this sauce now. Cook this milk sauce until it starts to thicken up. And that's our sauce for our thing-a-dooter. Ah, damn it. I thought we had fixed this thing with the batteries on my... microphone, but they are still, or they are again, running down faster than they should, except that I know they're not, because when I plug it in, it tells me how much battery it has, and it's the correct amount. It's just not giving it to me when it's actively running for some reason. Okay. Get that up to a gentle simmer. And we should be pretty okay. Let's slide back over to the work surface. I am going to prepare us an egg wash. I feel like I want to egg wash the outside of our thingy at some point to ensure a sheen and a nice golden brown color. I seem to recall having this issue in the past where I've used this dough and not quite remembered that it doesn't brown up really well. Let's test this thing. This thing didn't work really well when I tried to use it for the our aioli the other day, but maybe it'll work on just an egg. Kinda. Yeah, once I've got that yolk broken up, it works fine. It doesn't really have the strength for anything that's thicker than plain old wet. Tiny power whisk, yes. Add a small amount of water to your egg wash. So it makes it an egg wash instead of just egg. Okay. Next time we need to beat up a meringue or a small amount of whipped cream. I think that thing will be handy. Brush. You guys are back from the ad. Oop. And while I was distracted, our milk sauce formed a skin and tried to stick to the bottom of our pan, which it will do, of course, because it is a milk sauce. So I cannot turn my back on it. We must tend continually starting now, or I will lose my sauce. It looks good though. I need a tasting spoon. Oh, she wants to stick. Ooh, she wants to stick even more. It's probably at our thickness. So let's get my tester spoon, give it a dip, look at the back. We have a good coating. I'm going to take that off the heat. We're just going to call that. We're going to call that and say it is done. We're also going to taste it. Needs salt. Needs quite a bit of salt. Oop. Oh, what the heck? Oh no, that's fine. That's normal. Never mind. Never mind. I rescind my what the heck. I saw that. I'll be back over there. Thank you for the moisten. Moist. I needed that. My battery's down. It says it's got a little red sliver, which is not accurate. That is not how much battery it has. If I plug it in, it's going to tell me it has half. It is lying to me. Okay. Okay. I am pleased with our bacon shallot cream sauce. Let me pull our main event. We'll give it a temperature spike to see how we're doing, and we're going to egg wash it either way. Ooh, it's actually developing a little bit of color on its own. I might not need to egg wash it. I may have jumped the gun on that egg. It's developed a little bit of color on its own. Not a ton, but a little bit. Looks like we're settling in around 150. What's the doneness of fish? 145. So according to that probe, we're done. I'm going to give us a real quick egg wash, stick it back in. Because I want that sheen. But I think we are done in terms of the fillings. Which is good. This should only need like a minute, a couple minutes to take on the color I'm looking for. Okay. How long was that? Does anyone know? Was anyone paying attention? I was not. We can top the temperature up a little bit on it, actually, because now we want just the outer surface to get blasted. We'll have to just go back and watch the VOD. The benefit of doing this on camera, I can go back and watch. I don't have to remember stuff. Um, oh, I own timers because I own a computer. You also own a timer because you own a computer. Or a phone, or whatever you're watching this on. I guarantee you it has a timer in it. No, I was just curious if anyone, like, off the hand knew how long that was in there. It's done. Like, it's we weren't timing it. We were just watching it to see when it was done. And I was just kind of, I'm interested to know how long it has taken. But I'll just check back on the VOD. Never apologize for lurking. As they say, lurkers are love. Someone says that. Is it Tugboat? Didn't seem too long, no. And it was partially warm on the interior anyways, because we had, the barley was already warm, the duxelle was already warm, and the cabbage was cooled off by the time I got it in there. But some of those ingredients were warm when they went in there, so it didn't take as long for the center to raise up. And we're working with fish, which does not need to be cooked to as high a temperature as something like chicken. If that was a chicken in there, we'd be looking at more time. I can't put that away. It needs to be washed. Okay. So yeah, now we're just looking for that egg wash to turn into a little bit of a golden sheen. And I think we're done with the cooking part. Obviously not the whole show. We have to do artful plating and a taste and some photos and all that stupid nonsense that I do. By the time I get to eat it, it's ice cold. That's the part they don't tell you. That's the part they don't tell you on the cooking programs. The one they're eating, ice cold. Well, room temperature cold. When they do the movie magic where they take the one they just assembled, they put it in the oven, and they take a finished one out, the finished one is not hot. The finished one is room temperature. Because it has been in there waiting for them to do the swap. Part of why I wrap mine up so quick when we get to the end is because I do want to taste these while they're hot and ready. Ooh, and our sauce is looking very luxurious. Should still be runny enough to do a pour. I'm gonna have to pour it over the top. Yeah, they have to. Exactly. They stand there and they go, "Ooh, yum!" And it probably does taste good, but it's not like piping hot fresh. It's and they've often been, artsied up a little bit. Sure, sometimes if it's something that cooks fast, they'll usually just do it live for you. But yeah, that's I've run into that several times where it's like, and it's hot and it's ready, and I go and take the picture, and by the time I get it back in here, the sauce is kind of melted, and things are starting to cool off and like stick around the edges. And if you want to enjoy your food to the absolute maximum in the eating phase, don't do a show about it. I don't want that to be in there for too much longer. For one thing, I want to eat it. But also, it's cooked through, so we don't want to overcook the interior at this stage. I'm almost tempted to put the broiler on And by tempted, I mean I'm putting the broiler on. See if we can't just blast a little bit of color into the top before I pull it. Because all it needs is the outer surface to brown a little bit. That's it. It's not going to take very long. With the broiler, it's not going to take very long. Or the grill, as those of you in the Britain lands call it for some reason. Yeah, so while I'm waiting my last minute, what's everyone else having for dinner? Something good, I hope. You know, I made this because I didn't want to make more fried food because I didn't want quite that much more oil in my diet this week. So bacon and butter and more bacon. Chicken sandwich. I do like a chicken sandwich. Another chicken sandwich, possibly. Because that's a brand, not a dish. But they're famous for their chicken sandwich. I am going to, oh, the sizzle is getting loud. I am going to give it to the count of 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. It is coming out. Hey, we did it. We got our golden brown exterior without burning it. We have a little bit of scrambled egg on the outer edge where it dripped down because it was hot when I put it on there, which you're not supposed to put egg wash on when it's hot because you'll get those little bits of scrambled egg around the edge. But, and why I put the pot holders away, we certainly still need those. He needs to get off of that pan too, so let's get him slid off of that pan. I'm sure the little bit of scramble will taste good. It's a little bit uglier on the other side where you can really see that there are drips. This side, actually, it formed like a nice line. It almost looks like it's part of the edge of the pastry. If I spin it around, and you can see on that side we have like distinct drips. So that's a little bit less attractive. But the first side has, ooh, and we are clear of the, nobody stuck. There's no big ruptures. Ooh, we maintained integrity and we maintained our not sticking to the thing. Pop this beastie over here. Now he's toasty. He's mighty toasty. I was gonna use the square plate. But now I think I want the black plate because our sauce is going to be white and I think it'll pop better. I was going to use the square plate because the square plate's was already out. And I thought I'll just use it because it's already out. But since our sauce is white, well, beige, I think it'll pop better on the black plate. George, hi. You're just in time for the this. Look at this thing. Ooh, ooh. Snappy. So, we're using the black plate so that my sauce doesn't disappear into it. And we are, see, don't have a, I think we're going to need a serrated knife to get a good cut of this. My serrated knives are use the big one, even though it's the least sharp of my 3 serrated knives. I think that a straight bladed knife will just crush. Where the serrated knife we can saw into it. Let me give a second while this rests. Check my battery. It's at a sliver. It remains at a sliver. Let me shout out George. If you like cooking, George does cooking. Just this week he did homemade chili and then used that chili to make homemade chili dogs. And it was a good time. Blew his face off with some hot pepper, one of those crazy peppers with the name that sounds like it's going to kill you. I need my phone. I want to grab a snap of the thing intact before I break into it. I forget exactly which one, but it was one of those, you know, with the name that sounds just like death pepper. Okay, our crust is nice and snappy. Oh, it's still hot to the touch. Our bottom is also nice and brown. We have a little bit of oil at the bottom. I'm going to cut into it right in the middle, get a good cross section, hopefully. It is hot. But it's tender all the way through. Except for the very, very bottom. We don't have a soggy bottom because the bottom resisted the knife. And a soggy bottom does not resist the knife. And it's warm. And there you go. That's the interior of our thing. Again, I don't have anything green in there, so we don't have any green, and our fish was white. There's our fish, bacon layer at the top, our duxelle and our barley, and a little cabbage hat. The fish is certainly done. It's flaking apart perfectly. So, honestly, I think doing this with fish is easier than doing this with, like, steak. Because with steak, it's much easier to overcook it and have it all be brown through the middle. With this guy, we get him flaky and we're good. Before I set my phone down, I set it down there. Gotta remember to take pictures. Gotta remember to take pictures. I neglected to post the pictures of the Fallout party food, so those will have to get posted now a little bit after the fact. Okay. Get this guy. He's blazing hot. He's hot enough to the point where I'm not worried about eating him right away because he's too hot to eat. Oh, I love that the bottom is like crunch when you get down to it. And it has integrity, not... How's our sauce? Our sauce has actually thickened a bit. I'm going to give it a scoosh of heat to warm it up a little bit. I think I can do artful plating on our black plate here with our sauce. Probably should have done one scoop, but the plating was never my strong suit. Oh well. I can artsy it up. Oh, I know what I should have done. Oh well. I'll give that a drape. Should have just done the drape instead of the plate. Joe! So Everdream. Hi! Welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. This is your first time here. This is your first time here. Let me give you a shout out. We've rated So Everdream a bunch of times, including just on Wednesday. And here he is. He also cooks sometimes. Not as often as I would like, but sometimes. But mostly games. Although we had a really fun time with that guitar singy game. Yeah. Well, our little swooper on the side looks kind of off, but other than that, I think we did a good job there. And that parsley's looking a little wilty. That parsley's looking okay, though. Grab a parsley for our plate. We will dive over to the other room, grab some photographs. I will use the parsley to artfully cover up the fat end of the swoosh here. Did you guys see the light just flicker? I think my overhead light just flickered. Let's move the other half out of the way. That's good enough. Okay. Here we are. We have an ad coming up, which I am going to snooze out. We still have battery life on my microphone. Here we are. It's still steaming, so I'm going to go quick take our glamour shots in the photo station, and we'll be right back, and we'll give the old taste-a-roo. Oh, actually, I snoozed the ad. What I should do is run one. I'll see you in a minute on the other side while I take photos. BRB. Not that taking photos takes a minute, but it's a perfect time because I'm out of the room for at least 45 seconds. Grab a couple angles on this guy. All right, sliding back, sliding back. Yeah, 45 seconds. That's exactly what I said. So, I'm not going to do the tasting until we are fully back from that ad. I'll just tidy up a little bit while I have a few seconds. Get out a knife and fork. Okay, everything worked. Well, pending tasting. Pending the all-important tasting step, everything appears to have worked, which is always a good sign. I haven't just had a big random fail midway through. Yeah, I watch Max Miller all the time. I've recommended Max Miller to you guys here a few times. Okay, we're gonna take a chunk off the side that's a little bit bigger than a bite because I want to make sure to get everything up in there. And some sauce. So this is going to be one massive bite, and it's going to burn my mouth, because I guarantee you it's still hot in the middle, because I can see it steaming. Mmm. Mmm. That was a huge bite, but we got a little bit of everything in that bite. Oh yeah, we got a success. Whoa, I'm surprised at how you can still taste all the elements, but like all at once. It kind of evolves in your mouth as you taste. It kind of goes through a transformation while you're eating it. I need a smaller bite. That bite was too big. It's got a lot going on, but it's not like it's busy. It is falling apart a little bit, where the barley is kind of separating away from the duxelle. Let's get a smaller bite. The sauce did cool off a little bit, so that's slightly. I'll rewarm the sauce when I eat the other half of it. What do we got? What do we got? So you get the savory. You get the savory punch of the duxelle right off the bat, but you get the crunch of our nice crust at the same time. And then coming in behind, we have our chewy barley mix, the chewy barley texture, which isn't giving us any flavor, but I think it has done its job of protecting the bottom crust from getting soggy. The bacon, now remember the bacon's also in our sauce. So I'm getting bacon flavor. The bacon flavor actually comes in a little bit late. But there's definitely no like gummy undercooked bacon texture in there. So our bacon is certainly cooked, which I would hope it is. It was right up against the outer edge of the top crust. Oh, our sauce is a little bit too salty by itself, which I didn't notice until I just took a bite over there as a comparison. It's definitely not too salty combined with the thing, which suggests that the thing itself might be slightly undersalted, but that's fine. Fix that with a nice sauce. I can't taste the cabbage at all. I think it's just there as a textural element. It's got a little bit of texture to it, but not a ton. I think if we'd used a green like spinach, we'd have more flavor and less sweetness. I bet you that's where the sweetness is coming from. Because there's an underlying sweetness that kind of pushes through this, and I bet you it's the cabbage. Because otherwise I'm not getting any cabbage flavor. But I can't think of anything else in there that's sweet. That's all. It has this sort of evolution. The fish, we still don't know what this fish is. The fish is definitely in there. The flavor is not very strong, but it has a. When you bite into the fish, you know you're biting into the fish. It has that flaky fish. I'm pretty sure it's haddock. Now that I'm tasting it just by itself, I'm pretty sure it's haddock. I don't think it tastes like cod. B's vote is cod. We were torn between haddock and cod by looking at it. But on tasting it, I think it tastes more like haddock. But they're very similar fish. I love how crunchy the bottom crust is. It's got a pizza crust chew, but also a good like crisp. Which is what the barley is for. Or in the traditional form, the rice, or whatever starch you put at the bottom. The starch soaks up the juices from your other ingredients so they don't get to the bottom crust, so that the bottom crust can retain its nice crispy crunch. It's the same reason a Wellington has the pancake layer. The pancake soaks up the drippings from the duxelle and from the beef. I am a big fan. I am a big fan. And the only disaster we had was a equipment failure, not a technique failure. Everything worked exactly how I imagined it working, which is amazing. That never happens. That never happens. Well, what do you know? Well, I guess that means we're coming into the home stretch, since I want to get to eat the rest of this guy before he gets cold. Pop me up to my big old mug here. Let's see who is on that we can drop y'all onto on short notice. Also, we're wrapping up because my battery says it's at a red sliver. It has said it's at a red sliver for long enough that it's definitely lying, but it's gonna cut and run at some point. Um, no one is cooking, but someone is playing Harold Halibut, which is kind of. Weaveformer's not on. I would raid Weaveformer. I raid Weaveformer on Fridays a lot. Quarter to 7. Let's mute that. Check in on. Unless somebody has a good suggestion. Unless somebody has a good suggestion, I am open to raid target suggestions during the wrap up phase here. Otherwise, I'm looking at my list. puzzle game. Harold Halibut is an adventure game, but it's tangentially fish related. Before people bug out on me, we're gonna go raid Barry, who is playing Harold Halibut, which I know only a small amount about, but the main thing I know is that it is entirely stop motion animated. It was hand stop motion animated video game, which is a crazy concept, and I can't imagine how much work that took. And it just launched like yesterday, a couple days ago. Hecky was just playing it. So we're going to go check that out. We're going to go see Barry. Ars Novaria. Hi, we're actually in the middle of the raid countdown timer. We're zipping out. Yeah, so glad you all made it. Some new faces, some faces who I recognize, but they're new around these parts. And I will be back Monday as usual. Don't know what we're making. We might try those aranciata if I'm feeling up to more frying by Monday. Otherwise, yeah. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I don't have a sign-off message. I just kind of point at you until the timer runs out. And then we push stop streaming.